We've been on a journey. I don't know how many weeks this series has gone on for, called Jesus People, where we are becoming a countercultural community marked by the New Testament idea of koinonia, which is a Greek word that I just nailed just like that, and Jono's jealous. I've been practicing all week, Jono. No, I haven't actually. But it's around this idea of fellowship and partnership and sharing. It's about sharing our lives together. And as Christians, we share the Spirit. We have a shared spirit together, collectively, and that's what we celebrate today. Today is really the birth of the church, Pentecost. So it's happy birthday, everybody. Happy birthday to us, because that is what Pentecost is about. It's a remarkable day in the life of the church. You know, Jesus' death and resurrection, it was kind of like the moment, the center point of our faith, when everything changed for humanity. But Pentecost is not far behind, just 50 days behind, in fact. And it's a remarkable day. And so I want to dive into today why that is so important and kind of, I guess, stir in us and reactivate us in the spirit of Pentecost, because it's the same spirit is at work today. It wasn't just poured out then and then forgotten about for 2,000 years. He keeps pouring out his spirit, as we've been singing and we're going to be praying into at the end of the service. He wants to do it again today. Unfortunately, I guess over the years, there's been kind of some myths about Pentecost and about the Spirit and about how he works that have kind of crept in, because, you know, we're human, and so these things, our humanity gets in the way sometimes. And we are a Pentecostal church. I don't know if you've realised, but Equippers would be labelled as a mainstream Pentecostal church, and so we're labelled after this day. So it's probably important that we understand what it's all about, right? And it is when the Holy Spirit came down from heaven. And the first thing that I want us to understand about the Holy Spirit is that he's not primarily about the crazy stuff. Like sometimes I think we, as Pentecostals, we kind of think that that's what makes us different, is the fact that we're a bit crazy, that the Spirit is about the crazy, you know, the weird, the shaking, the laughing, the crying, the falling over, the extra. That's not to say that strange stuff doesn't happen, because God is sovereign and he's holy. And holy, if you look at the root meaning of the word, it means completely other, completely different. And so God works differently to us. And so we can't ever control how he works. And so the Spirit will work in different ways, in ways we do sometimes think are a bit weird. And we're like, what was that? But sometimes can we just acknowledge, sometimes we are a bit weird. And sometimes knowing the weirdness of God and the weirdness of people, sometimes it's hard to tell. And sometimes we bring our weirdness into the church, and it's actually just, we should leave that at the door, or we should actually not have it. God embraces our weirdness, but sometimes what we think is the Holy Spirit is actually just us being strange. Yeah. The second thing I'd say about the Holy Spirit is that it's not just about your sweet feels. It's not just about the warm fuzzies we get when we're in his presence. And we get those. Like, I love those moments. And they do come. We do feel them. And there is a peace and a joy that comes from the Spirit of God. It's true that, you know, John Wesley's heart was strangely warmed at the beginning of that big revival. And it definitely does happen. There is something there. But that's not all that the Holy Spirit is about. It's not just about us chasing after our sweet feels. If that's what the Holy Spirit is to us, then again, we're missing the point. And the third thing I say about the Holy Spirit is that it's not just about the gifts, you know, or even the fruit of the Spirit. It's not just about the tongues and the prophecy and the miracles, or the flip side, that the fruit, which is the love, joy, peace, patience, kindness. It is about those things, because if we're honest, what the Holy Spirit is, it's just God amongst us. And therefore, God is about those things. He's about love and joy and peace. And he does do miracles, and he does, you know, bring prophetic words and things. But essentially, if we're honest, what the Holy Spirit is actually about is just about God dwelling in us, God being present to us. And that is amazing. That is incredible because, Jesus came to the earth. God was present in a human form, but then he went away again. But then the Holy Spirit came and he dwells and he never leaves us. That is the beauty of the Holy Spirit. That is what it is all about. Yes, all those other things are cool and they're exciting and they're wonderful, but actually the essence of Pentecost and the essence of the Holy Spirit is that God is with us. That is the key, and that's why we celebrate this day. So, today I guess I want to renew that spirit of Pentecost among us. And at the end of this message, we're going to have a time of response. We're going to have a time where we can open our hearts for a fresh touch of His Spirit. But first I want to kind of look at, I guess, the OG of revivals, the day of Pentecost, and see what it can teach us about being Jesus people, about being people with a shared spirit. So if you're ready, why don't we pray? Father, we thank you that, yes, you sent your son Jesus, but he left. But then you sent in his place your Holy Spirit. And today we acknowledge that and we welcome that afresh in our midst. Come, Holy Spirit, we pray. Come speak through me. Come speak to us. In Jesus' name, amen. So we're in the book of Acts, because that's where the action is in Acts. And it's written by a guy called Luke. He's a doctor, but he's also a historian. He wrote Luke and Acts actually as one book, but we kind of divided it up. We've separated them out. And he wrote it with a lot of symbolism in amongst it. He draws deeply on the Old Testament. So actually, to understand the day of Pentecost, we kind of need to go further back than the book of Acts. So to understand the New Testament, we have to go back to the Old. So in the Old Testament, when the Spirit of God came, it was often accompanied by some signs. And these signs were pretty cool signs, like windstorms, fire, lightning, and voices from heaven. Who wants to see some of those things? Maybe you're not inside. Lightning, storms, fire inside. We're probably going to get us running outside. Maybe that was the point. But yeah, some pretty cool things. When you had those things, you had the presence of God. Not always, like He came in other ways, but often the presence of God was accompanied by these crazy things. And so let me give you some examples. Firstly, Moses and the burning bush. Exodus 3, and I think we're going to have some scriptures come up so you can, if you haven't got your Bible with you, you can read along here. There, the angel of the Lord appeared to Moses in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. So Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight, why the bush does not burn up. When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses, Moses. And Moses said, Here I am. Do not come any closer, God said. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. So there you've got fire, you've got a voice from heaven, and you've got this idea of being a holy place, holy ground. Another example, Moses again. On Mount Sinai, often Moses is the man, and in fact all my examples are from Moses, but Moses on Mount Sinai in Exodus 19. Moses has led the people out of Egypt, they're in the wilderness, and he goes up Mount Sinai to meet God. In Exodus 19 verse 16, on the morning of the third day there was thunder and lightning, with a thick cloud over the mountain and a very loud trumpet blast. Everyone in the camp trembled. Then Moses led the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Mount Sinai was covered with smoke because the Lord descended on it in fire. The smoke billowed up from it like smoke from a furnace, and the whole mountain trembled violently. Also earthquakes as well. As the sound of the trumpet grew louder and louder, Moses spoke, and the voice of God answered him. The Lord descended to the top of Mount Sinai and called Moses to the top of the mountain. So Moses went up, and the Lord said to him, Go down and warn the people so they do not force their way through to see the Lord and make many of them perish. Even the priests who approach the Lord must consecrate themselves, or the Lord will break out against them. So again, you've got a mighty storm. You've got this this wind and rain and thunder and lightning, and then you've got fire and smoke, and you've got God speaking. So there's a Holy Spirit comes, and all these things happen. And then God's kind of like, I can't just keep rocking up to Moses just out top of mountains, out of bushes. I need more of a permanent kind of thing happening. And so he sets up the tabernacle. And so in Exodus 40, in verse 34, you can read with me again. I'm giving you a lot of scripture here, but bear with me. Then the cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Moses could not enter the tent of meeting because the cloud had settled on it, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. In all the travels of the Israelites, whenever the cloud lifted from above the tabernacle, they would set out. But if the cloud did not lift, then they did not set out until the day it lifted. So the cloud of the Lord was over the tabernacle by day, and fire was in the cloud by night, in the sight of all the Israelites during all their travels. So again, there's fire, there's cloud, and there's the presence of God. So when God comes to the Old Testament people, that's how he comes, with these kind of signs. So we need to remember this when we read Acts 2, because similar things happen. Another key thing that we need to remember from the Old Testament when we're thinking about the day of Pentecost is this word Pentecost and what that means in the kind of Jewish calendar. So Pent means 5 or 50 actually. So Pentecost is 50 days after Passover. So Passover is the big festival where the Israelites escaped from Egypt, and to do that, there was a whole lot of plagues, and in the last one, it was the plague of death, and so the angel of death did not kill all the Israelites. They painted blood over the door frames, and the spirit of death passed over the house of the Israelites, and therefore they did not die. So that's the Passover. 50 days after that, they have this celebration called Pentecost. Now, in Hebrew, it's also called the Shavuot, or the Feast of Weeks. And it is one of 3 great Jewish festivals. And it's also known as the Harvest Feast. So it's kind of like this feast of first fruits. You're giving the first of your harvest to God. So if we think back to in the Old Testament times, 50 days after Passover, after they've painted the blood on their doorposts and they run away, where are they? Well, they're in the desert. They're at the foot of Mount Sinai. Moses is going up. It's that moment where the second reading we looked at, where Moses is coming down with the commandments from Mount Sinai. So it's part of that story that they're told to celebrate Pentecost, and it's kind of, if you think about it as a progression, if Passover is the day of redemption, then Pentecost is like the day of provision. So he's rescued them, but now he's going to prove that he's going to provide for them in their rescue. Because if you think about the Israelites, they were always complaining, "Oh, you've brought us out of Egypt, and now you're going to let us starve? Now you're going to make us just die in the wilderness?" No, you're going to have this festival, and it's going to remind you that actually I will provide for you. And in this festival, you're going to celebrate by bringing your first fruits, bringing your best. And so that is what Pentecost is about. It's a harvest celebration. Now keep that in the back of your mind when you think about harvest. Think about harvest and then think about Pentecost. How do they tie together? So if we skip forward now into the New Testament, into Acts, we've had Jesus. He's died, been resurrected, and then what happens? Well, they've had Passover, because that's when that happened, and so they are waiting for Pentecost. They're waiting for the celebration. And it says for a period of 40 days that Jesus keeps kind of popping back. So he just keeps checking in with them, which is pretty crazy. Like, this previously dead guy just keeps showing up, not dead, and encouraging them. Like, that would be pretty strange. I don't know. Yeah, it would be. We know it looking backwards, but if you were in that moment, you'd be like, this is weird. Like, when's he coming back? When, you know that guy who died, he just keeps popping back again? When are we going to see him next? Is he like, we're going to walk around the corner? Oh, it's the dead guy again. It's Jesus. Like, it's strange. But on several occasions, he gives them some instructions. So Acts 1, verse 4 to 5. On one occasion, while he was eating with them, so he didn't just like pop out. He actually sat down, had some meals with them. He gave them this command: do not leave Jerusalem, but wait for the gift of my Father promised, which you have heard me speak about. For John baptized with water, but in a few days you will be baptized with the Holy Spirit. And they're excited. They're like, cool. What does that mean? Oh, I don't know, but that's cool. We'll just keep waiting. But you get the feeling that they don't really know what's going on. Because in the very next verse, in verse 6 and 7, it says, then they gathered around him and asked him, Lord, are you at this time going to restore the kingdom of Israel? So they were kind of thinking, oh, Jesus has come back, and now he's going to lead us in a triumphant army against the Roman oppressors, and it's all going to be sweet like that. That was never Jesus' plan. And poor Jesus, he's been telling them this from the start. He must be so frustrated. But they still hadn't got the point. And he said to them, he said, it is not for you to know the times or dates the Father has set by his own authority, but you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you. And you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, and in all Judea and Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. Now this is really important, and I'll just kind of summarize it. Jesus says, wait till you get the power from the Holy Spirit so you can tell the world about me. That's essentially what he says. Wait till the Holy Spirit comes so you can then go and tell the world all about me. And that's kind of the setting that leads us up to this day of Pentecost. So they're waiting. They've been waiting 50 days. And we get to Acts 2, verse 1. And we'll read this. And this is the last big chunk of scripture I'm going to read to you. When the day of Pentecost came, they were all together in one place. Suddenly a sound like the blowing of a violent wind came from heaven and filled the whole house where they were sitting. They saw what seemed to be tongues of fire that separated and came to rest on each of them. All of them were filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in other tongues as the Spirit enabled them. Now there were staying in Jerusalem God-fearing Jews from every nation under heaven. When they heard this sound, a crowd came together in bewilderment, because each one heard their own language being spoken. Utterly amazed, they asked, aren't all these who are speaking Galileans? Then how is it that each of us hear them in our native language? Parthians, Medes, Elamites, residents of Mesopotamia, Judea and Cappadocia, Pontus and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia, Egypt and the parts of Libya near Cyrene, visitors from Rome, both Jews and converts to Judaism, Cretans and Arabs, we hear them declaring the wonders of God in our own tongues. Amazed and perplexed, they asked one another, what does this mean? Some, however, made fun of them and said, they've had too much wine. Okay, so we have the believers all together, and then what happens? This moment, like we've been reading about in the Old Testament, happens. There's a sound like the blowing of a violent wind from heaven. What seemed to be tongues of fire resting on each of them. And then there's all these languages as the Spirit enabled them. It's those three things again. It's like this violent storm, it's fire, and it's voices from heaven. So those signs from the Old Testament, they're present right now. God is present. That's what it's saying to them. God is here amongst us. But it's different. It's the same, but it's different. Because it's not just to Moses this time. Like, it's not, the other times it was like always to Moses with the bush, or Moses up the mountain, or Moses in the tabernacle. But no, now it's here, it's everybody. Everybody's there, and everybody's getting this experience. And that's, if you're taking notes, that's my first point. That's the amazing thing about Pentecost, is the Spirit is for every believer. for every believer. Where previously God's presence came to a place, like a burning bush or a mountain or a special person, like Moses or King David or Jesus, this time it rests on everyone. It divides out. It says the Spirit, those tongues of fire divide out and rest on individuals, regardless of who they are. There's no background checks. It's just like on every one of you. That's awesome. Because Pentecost, before Pentecost, the presence of God only ever rested on special people, like Moses, or on priests, or on kings, or on special places, like temples. If you think in modern terms, you could say, well, the Spirit of God, it just comes on pastors. It just comes on Jono and Emma and Dave. But it doesn't come on me. Or it comes on government leaders or church buildings maybe, or on chosen people, but not on me. No, the Spirit comes on you. It comes on every person. The Spirit makes no distinction. Everyone, regardless of whether they deserve it or not. That is so cool. So good. And then we have this crazy moment with these tongues. Like the original Greek word here for tongue is glossa, if you think about your glossus. And so it's the same word used in verse 3 when it talks of tongues of fire as it is when it speaks of different tongues. So that's that same word. And I've been trying to get my head around this because it says that this crowd of people comes because they hear the sound. The sound, it's not the sound of the wind earlier. It's the sound of the people talking. I was like, they must be super loud. Like, no microphones here. Like, so from inside a building, maybe they had their windows open. It was probably way hotter than it is today. And so there'd be people outside. But they heard the sound so loud that the crowd came. And then when the crowd comes, they're amazed. And this also confused me a little bit. They're amazed. And they're not amazed that everybody is on fire. Like I would think if that would be the thing I'd be amazed about. It's like, why are you all on fire? This is disturbing. So that tells me one of two things. Either the fire's gone out or that maybe that idea of fire is actually more about how the Spirit rested and it wasn't actually like they were burning. Okay? Because then they'd all be running out of the building. Yeah. So anyway, the crowd comes, and they hear their own language being spoken. I just wonder if you're here today and you speak or you understand fairly fluently a language other than English. Can you raise your hands? Nice and high so I can see them. That's cool. Can you shout out to me what are the languages that you speak or understand? Tongan, Fijian. Hebrew, Fijian, Yoruba, Spanish, Samoan. Awesome. So imagine, I want you especially, but all the rest of it, imagine you walk into a room full of Kiwis and you hear your language. You'd be like, what? Who taught all these Kiwis my language? Where did this come from? That would be pretty amazing, right? And also it would be very cool. Like you think, wow, I'm home in a strange way because this is not perhaps my home, but I'm home because I'm hearing my language. I'm hearing people because that's exactly what happened. They said, "Aren't these people Galileans?" You'd be saying, "Well, aren't these people Kiwis?" It's pretty crazy, but there's a reason why God does that. And it's symbolic. Quite simply, God is saying that the Spirit that I'm giving to all of you, not just the priests and the rabbis, it's for all people everywhere. So not just is it now on you now, it's for all people. So the Spirit of God is for every believer to go to every person. It's not just for us to keep here, but it's to go to every nation, to every tribe, every tongue, to every person who speaks another language. It is for every person of this world. And so that's my second point. It's the Spirit is not just for us, for every believer, but it's to go to every person, regardless of their nationality, regardless of their language, regardless, even if they might be considered enemies. Like some of these people in that group, they were Arabs. They were kind of the sworn enemies of the Israelite people. You just have to look at the conflict now in the Middle East to understand that. But the multiple tongues, it's clear that God is saying, no, actually, you're all one. You're all together. All your language. It's like the kind of opposite of the Tower of Babel happening here. And it's for everybody who speaks Spanish and Tongan and Samoan and whatever language. And it actually even goes beyond, physical languages. I think there's almost like a metaphor here that the way that you relate to people in your world is that you are called into that space. So you're to take what you receive from God and to take it into your world. Because only you can reach your world. Because of your family background, because of your job or your profession, because of your age, because of your hobbies or your interests, you speak a language that I don't. You speak a language that Jono doesn't. Because of who you are and what you carry. And therefore you can go into places that we can't. And so you are called to take that spirit that God places in you to your world, wherever you can go. So, we need to take that. We need to go from this place into the world. But what exactly do we take, though? Like, what is it that we're taking to the world? What's the point of the Spirit coming here? What are they going to do with it? Beyond praising God in their own language, which they hear, and by the way, that is incredibly important. Just praising God is amazing. But the Spirit of God is for every believer to go to every person, or I could say it another way, the Spirit of God is for all people to go to all people with the good news about Jesus. It's about bringing the good news of Jesus to our world. Because straight out of this moment, the Spirit of God is poured out. The Apostle Peter, he stands up because the crowd comes and the people are like, what is going on? The Apostle Peter, he stands up, and we get this in Acts 2, verse 15. He says, these people are not drunk, as you suppose. It's only 9 in the morning. We don't get drunk till 9 at night. No. It's kind of like, it's kind of implied there. It's the last time I'm preaching here. I can say things like that. It's not written there, but I'm not quite sure why he says that. It's only 9 in the morning. It's not the time we normally get drunk. But no, this is what was spoken by the prophet Joel. In the last days, God says, I will pour out my Spirit on all people. And he goes on. Peter goes on to share about Jesus. And at the end, he calls them to repent and be baptized. And 3,000 people, I don't know how big. It says they were in their rooms. I don't know how they did this. They must have been outside by that stage. But 3,000 people choose to repent and be baptized. And the church is born in that moment. Amazing. Now, remember what Jesus said way back in Acts 1:7 when he was just popping in and out. He said, you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. That is what happens in this moment. That is the beginning of that. The Holy Spirit empowers the people, and the church starts to go. The church starts to reach their world. And that's why we're here today. That is, you could say that is still happening today. That revival that was born in that moment is still happening today. And that is what the Spirit of God is about. He's always testifying to Jesus. 1 John 5 verse 6 says, this is the one who came by water and blood, Jesus Christ. He did not come by water only, but by water and blood. And it is the Spirit who testifies, because the Spirit is the truth. That is the role of the Spirit. The Spirit always points to Jesus. And so the Holy Spirit came and he does these amazing things, but it's not just for the amazing things. It's to testify to Jesus. It's to say, hey, there's this guy, Jesus. He's actually a part of me. We're one, the Trinity, but it always points to Jesus. And if we're to be Jesus people, We need to be filled and moved by the Spirit to take Jesus to our world. The Spirit forms a new kind of people, a Jesus people who carry him to the world. Before the Pentecost, the early believers, they were just kind of hanging out, they were praying, they were waiting for God to do something. But after Pentecost, the church was empowered to go, to reach out into its world. And you got to go, well, what changed? Well, kind of everything and nothing. It was the same people, they were in the same place, but the Spirit had come. And that had changed everything for them. I don't know if you remember when I'm assuming a lot of you have been touched and filled with the Holy Spirit. But if you haven't yet, that's cool. We're going to have a moment at the end of this service where you can. But I remember when I was first filled with the Holy Spirit. I was about 17. I'd been going to youth group for a couple of years. But I was naturally a kind of skeptical kind of guy. My dad is an engineer. He's sitting out the back. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Dad. And my brother is an engineer, quite analytical in the way we think. And so I believed in God, a higher power, but I wasn't convinced about Jesus. And I went away to a camp. I went away to Southern Lakes Harvest Camp, at Tekapo Military Camp, sleeping in tents. The meetings, I remember the meetings, we sat on hay bales in this big kind of hangar. And I remember the night meeting when I gave my life to Jesus. And looking back, now I realize I was filled with the Holy Spirit because there wasn't a literal fire because the hay bales being dangerous. But I remember feeling in this intense peace and this joy and this wow, I just feel so light and amazing. And I came back from that camp and I was heading into year 13 at school, but something had changed. I had this overwhelming desire to tell people, to share the gospel. And so my best friend, who had also been in that camp, and the two of us, we started a Christian group at Burnside. We were at school, and we just started going to assemblies and giving notices about it in front of 500 students. We'd just be telling them, and we started this Christian group at school. And we didn't reach the whole school or anything, but there was something burning in us. And if I look back, it's the same thing happening. The Holy Spirit came, and it had to have an outlet. It had to tell, it had to testify to Jesus. And that is exactly what happened in my life. And I think God wants to light those little fires in each of us. And sometimes we get a bit old, and we get a bit crusty, and we get a bit the fire goes down into embers a bit. But sometimes we just need to kind of blow on those embers a bit and stir it back to life. And so that's what we're going to do in a moment. But I guess my question for you is, where's your Jerusalem or Judea or Samaria? Where's the area in your life where you can start to carry the Spirit of God, to carry the message of Jesus too? Because there is a place, there is a world that only you can reach with that good news. Can I invite the band up? Often we kind of ask God for a revival, and we pray for a revival. But essentially, I think since Pentecost, there's just one big revival that's kind of been happening like this, and if you look at the revivals of the past, the Wesleyan revival of the 1700s, the Azusa Street revival in the States, even the Welsh revival with Evan Roberts, which birthed this movement, actually, birthed the Apostolic Church, which was where this movement came from. These moves of the Spirit always led to the gospel exploding in that place, because that's the purpose of a revival. That's the purpose of the Spirit, is that people will hear about Jesus. The Welsh revival in a year in Wales, I don't know how many people were in Wales at that time, but 100,000 people came to know Christ in Wales in that year in 1904. Incredible. I believe God wants to do something in Otatahi Christchurch. I believe He wants to pour out His Spirit on us in this moment. And we're gonna sing a song that I believe captures the essence of that. And I want us to not just sing it though. I actually want us to pray it. I want us to sing the lyrics over ourselves, over our church as a prayer. I'll read you some of them. It says, we need a fresh wind, the fragrance of heaven. Pour your Spirit out. Pour your Spirit out. Holy anointing, the power of your presence. Pour your Spirit out. Pour your Spirit out. Why don't you stand to your feet? And I want to invite you to respond however God leads you. You can kneel, you can prostrate yourself on the floor, you can come down the front, you can raise your hand, however God leads you to do it. But let's engage in this moment. Let's reach out. I'll come back and I'll pray at the end, but let's just in this moment cry out for a fresh touch of the Holy Spirit. Thanks, team.